communication for academic purposes. All right. So you have now an idea, no, how are we going about our discussions in modules lately? We have discussed previously communication for various purposes, right? So what are those purposes? We have, what did we discuss in there? We have persuasive communication, informative communication, and argumentative communication. Okay. So we have communication used in for persuasion rather, no? Or examples are those we see in advertisements, right? Remember, that's module 8, advertisements or business. No, that's already work. What else? Communications to inform, so news, right? For communication for work purposes, we have those business communication that we have discussed in the video. No, we have those business communication and written, no, outputs. We have business letters like business reports, proposals, research. Okay, so we have memos. Those are part of your communication for work purposes. Okay, and hold on. If you are trying to message me via chat, I couldn't see the chat because I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so again later on, if you are going to recite, please tell me, no? Please just switch on your camera because I cannot see the chat. It's not appearing, no, when I click it. Okay. So this communication for academic purposes naman, what are these? This involves presenting ideas effectively and formally in a scholastic environment. Okay. So it's also called scholarly communication. Please take note of that. And this refers to methods of communication now that are highly structured and generally only used in pedagogical settings. Okay, by learn.org 2020. Okay, basically, when we talk about academic communication, much of the bulk of communication that we are doing or producing is more often than not in the school, no, in the university, in written communication. So most of what we're going to do, no, when we talk about academic communication, are written communication. Okay, every member, no, be it the teacher or the student, at some point we are required to make now an academic paper. Okay, for you as college students, you may have more difficulties, I believe, because to write an academic paper is somehow different. You are transitioning from what do you call this one, from high school writing to college writing. So you may have a bit of a difficulty because now it's getting a bit different. Okay, of course, everything that was taught to us or to you guys during high school is useful or are useful, no? But what are those? Let's say you have to write clearly, of course. You have to have an interesting topic or thesis. And of course, you have to construct your paragraphs clearly and coherently, no? Focused, all these things. So those are the things that were taught to you in high school, no? But there are also some things which are not going to work on you don't really it's not going to work out if you use it when you enter college academic writing, no? What are those? For example, ano ba? Ano ba ang mga ginagawa niyo noon, no? That just wouldn't work when you enter college academic writing. For example, yung 5 paragraph theme, 'di ba? Yung 5 paragraph theme, it wouldn't work anymore, okay? Because it's not as sophisticated or as flexible enough now to provide a sound structure for a college paper, because writing a college paper you have to have some um structure. Okay, later on you will understand that. Okay, ano ba yung mga tricks na ginagamit nyo noon? What are the old tricks that you're using before? You're using, ewan ko ha, but maybe some of you are using highfalutin words. No, you're trying to impress your teacher, or you're trying to impress your teacher by putting highfalutin words in those papers that you're writing. No, or you're trying to repeat what you have said. No, repeat what you have said in the first paragraph, in the first sentence, just so you can meet the 10-page requirement. Because when you were probably, no, when you were in high school, mas importante na ma-meet niyo yung number of pages. Is it correct? No? Did you did you use those tricks before? If you did, these tricks will not work now. No, it will fail you now. You will get a failing grade, even if you expect that you will get a passing grade now. No, because it's just different. Question now is, how do you transition from a high school to college writing, or high school to college writing written communication? Okay, that's the question, and that is why you are here now. That's why you have purposive class English 100. No, for you to know how is that transition going to be. Okay, I hope what we will be discussing today will not just be left in your memory until exams, until final exams. I hope you get to, ingrain these things within you as you go along, as you move forward in your academic years. Okay? So, 3 concepts that you need to understand before you write your first academic paper. First concept, can you read, Matt?
Presentation are communication tools that can be used as demonstration, lecture, reports, and more. Academic writing is devoted to topics and questions that are interest to academic community. Academic writings should present the reader with informed argument.
All right. Uh-huh. So, sorry for that. All right. The first concept, sorry, can you copy this? Academic writing is writing done by scholars. Okay, so this is number 1. Sorry, I don't know where did this came from. Okay, this is number 1. Okay. Hold on. All right. Okay, so number 1. Okay, that's number 1, huh? Again, right, academic writing is writing done by scholars for other scholars. What do we mean by that? Okay. It's done by scholars for other scholars. What does it mean? Does it mean that you are not one of them? Since you're just beginning to venture in academic writing, it doesn't mean that you are not one of them. If you think that, then you are wrong, no? You are. Actually, you are also scholars because now that you are in college, it's a community of scholars, right? Whoever are in this academic environment, pedagogical environment, we are all part of this community of scholars. So as a college student, you will need to be engaged, no, in activities that scholars have been engaged in for centuries, for a long time. Okay. You will also venture in that. No, you will read. What are those? You will read about something, you will think about something, you will argue about something, and you will write about something. And most often than not, these something are great ideas, I hope. Okay. So these are what scholars do, right? They read about great ideas, they think about great ideas, they argue about great ideas, and they write about great ideas. And if you think that you do this, then you are a scholar. Okay, so please remember that. Number two, academic writing is developed to topics and questions that are of interest to the academic community. So when you write an academic paper, you must first try to find a topic, okay, or a question that is, relevant and appropriate. Okay, right. So because it says here, topics and questions that are of interest to the academic community. If it's not relevant, then it won't be interesting because again, you have to write, no, with purpose, right? So most often than not, it has to be relevant and appropriate. How would you know? How do you know when the topic is relevant and appropriate? I hope again you are writing down, no? Please, please use your pens. So first, usually you have to pay attention to what your professors are saying. Okay. They will certainly at some point be giving you a context into which you can place your questions and observations. No? And second, understand that what you're writing, no, that your paper should be of interest to other students and scholars. Okay, you just have to think, is this interesting to other students? Okay. You have to also remember academic writing, it must be more than a personal response. Okay. As what we have said, you must write something that your readers or other students, other people will find useful. In other words, you will want to write something that helps your reader to better understand your topic, okay? Or to see this topic in a new way, okay? This brings us to our final point, number 3. Academic writing should now present the reader with an informed argument. Okay. To construct an informed argument, you must first try to sort out what you know about a subject. Okay. You must sort out what you know about that subject and what you think about a subject. It's two different things, right? What you know is not the same as what you think about that subject. Okay. So you will want to consider what is known about that subject and then again determine what you think about it. Okay. Remember, look at the bottom. If your paper fails to inform or if it fails to argue, then it will fail to meet the expectations of the academic reader. Okay, very nice, right? So, eto na. In relation to having an informed argument, okay? So, we are now going to be learning how to construct an informed argument. Okay, there you go. What do you know about a topic? Okay. So constructing an informed argument, you will try to think and construct this argument. How will it be an informed argument. So, first, you want to consider what, again, we've said, what do you know about the topic? So, there are different degrees of knowing. Okay, where was I? Um, as I've said, you will want to consider what you know about the topic. And what you know about it, there are different degrees of knowing. There are different levels of what you know about a certain topic. Okay. For example, if you are to write a short paper in response to, let's say, um, a certain literary piece, okay, you are going to make a reaction letter, maybe a response, no? So sometimes, no, it may not be a requirement for you to be familiar with other works, no, of that author. Okay. Sometimes it may not even require you to have, master the terms important to literary criticism, because you are just to react on it, right? Okay. But of course, a knowledge of those might be helpful. However, if you are to write an academic paper, let's say, and they said on literary criticisms, then you will want to know more. Okay. Then this is now like more, you have to put in more level of knowing of what you know about that topic, because you will want to have some certain terms that you could again put in that academic paper. Okay. You will want to be familiar with other works of that author, so that now you can understand what themes are important to him and his work and so on. So see, it's different now, no? From before and now, no? From the real academic paper or academic writing, you have to know more levels. Okay? So let's go here. When you sit down and thinking of how to write an academic paper, ask yourself these questions. Can I answer the questions who, what, when, where, why, and how? What do I know about the context of my topic? What historical or cultural influences do I know about that that might be important to my topic? No? Does my topic belong to any particular genre or category of topics? And lastly, what do I know about this genre? Okay, there's more. Okay, so what seems important to me about this topic? So a while ago, what do I know? Okay, and then now, what are important about the topic for me? If I were to summarize what I know about this topic, what points would I focus on? Eto na, you are now synthesizing, no? So what points seem less important? Take it away, no? And why is it not important? Or why are the ones you've chosen important? Okay. Next, how does this topic relate to other things that I know? What do I know about the topic that might help now my reader to understand it in new ways? Okay. So how does this topic relate to other things that I know? Eto na. Relation na. How do I understand it in new way? And then lastly, what don't I know about my topic? So you can also ask, what do I need to know? And how can I find out more? So this is related under this. What don't I know about my topic? Okay. What do I need to know? If you don't know that, then for sure you need to know that. And the question is how. So that's basically it. If you answer these questions, then you are moving beyond what you know about the topic and you are now beginning to consider what you think. Okay. In the process, let's say, of thinking, really thinking about your topic, your aim now is to come up with a fresh observation. Okay. That's why, from the last one, what don't I know about the topic? What do you need to know? How can you find out more? So this is somehow a new way of writing about a topic. And most importantly, you have to write, as we've said, great about great ideas, and it has to be great. That's why it has to be something fresh, new, and relevant. Okay. We can also say, I think, it's not enough. No, I guess we could say it's not enough to summarize, diba? We've said your aim, the aim is not to summarize. Okay. We try to synthesize, as what we've said a while ago. What point seems less important, we take it away. But overall, the aim is come up with a fresh observation and not to summarize, okay, the paper. Because it's already known, no? It's already known, it's already talked about. Now you must add something to your own, no? I mean, you must add something that is your own, no, to that conversation. Okay. But you please take note, adding something of your own is not an invitation, no, to simply bring your own personal associations, your own personal belief, reactions, or experience, no, with regards to the reading of the text. No, overall, when we talk about constructing an informed argument, you must first recognize, no, that what you're writing should be analytical rather than personal. Okay, has to be analytical rather than personal. In other words, what we mean by that, your writing must show that these reactions, your reactions and experiences of a text, it has been framed or constructed critically, in a critical rather than personal way. Okay. Now, any questions? Example, we'll proceed now to some example, no? Or to an example of academic paper, and that is academic research. No? This is where you will be writing now your research paper or proposal. But first, let's talk about what research is. Can you help me read these, Osias? Tama ba ako ng pronounce? Merioles. Osias or Osias? Mm-mm. Okay, he's not around. So he's just basically joining his account, no, sa Zoom, but he's not really around and not listening. Okay. Can you help me read this? Ancheta, Eric.
Research is defined as the scientific investigation of phenomena, which includes collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of facts that links an individual's speculation with reality. In other words, research is the systematic study of trend or event which involves careful collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of quantitative data or facts that relates man's thinking with reality.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Eric. All right, so isa-isahin natin yan. Scientific investigation of phenomena here. Okay, let's underline that. Mhm. Scientific, oh, sorry. Let's try to use the line. Scientific investigation of phenomena. This one. So it is very important. What do we mean by scientific? It follows now a procedure. Okay, there's a procedure. So it is very important to follow a procedure in conducting a research. Okay, that's why it's called scientific. You will find out that the research is, very difficult if you will want to do it your own way, no, without taking into consideration the research procedures. Now, please, a procedure serves as a step-by-step process, okay, that will help you now complete your research successfully. This is now what we mean by scientific investigation. Okay, it has a step-by-step procedure. In Where is the next one? Interpretation of facts. Okay. Interpretation of facts. What is this now? It is done after applying a particular research method or procedure suited to your research, of course. Now, when all the data have been gathered and a particular research method has been applied now, of course, what follows are analysis and interpretation. Okay? Basic, okay? Next, here it links an individual's speculation with reality. This is also important. No, because often people tend to hypothesize without prior investigation. No, this is dangerous, especially when you are to make an important decision. No, research cannot exist without investigation. Please remember that. No, in fact, research is always, no, most often than not, synonymous to investigation. 'Di ba? If you try to define the two, they're always synonymous with each other. Because with research, with investigation, you have to research, no? And with research, you have to investigate something. So they're always synonymous. That's why. Okay? Right. So several characteristics may be attributed now, no, to a good research. Some of them are as follows. Number one, the title must be clearly stated, and the words used in the title must be defined well. I think you have done your research paper when you were in senior high. Have you? Your research. Have you done some research when you were in senior high?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Um,
most concepts here, you already know them. Okay. So I will just be brushing them quickly, and just read some of them very quickly. No, most are self-explanatory naman, no? Again, the title must be clearly stated, and the words used in the title must be defined well. Number two, it must not be biased, but rather it must be, of course, objective, especially in the analysis, conclusion, and recommendation. Okay, number three, the dependent and independent variables must be clearly stated. And number four, it must be interesting and timely. Number five, the findings must be backed up by the ample data and evidences. And lastly, the statement of the problem must be clearly stated. I'm sure, again, since you have done your research when you were in senior high, you already know most of these concepts. Now, how do we arrive at an academic research paper? Okay, first we have to select a topic. You've done that. Okay, you as students, no, you've done that. Most of your writing in college, no, you will have now trouble figuring out, what or how to come up with a topic. I think everyone has that problem. It's always the first step. That is very difficult. How to select a topic. Yeah. So sometimes, the professor will provide you a prompt, no, or let's say an area, and then she will give you a question to explore or a problem to resolve. No, it will be up to you now to narrow down your topic or that topic. After narrowing it down, then of course ask yourself, will your reader care about this question, or will she say, so what? Okay, so there's always this so what factor. It has to have that so what. Okay, let me check. Um, all right, then I'm just gonna be writing it. Okay. Just to add, no, characteristics of an ideal topic, just it's not in the presentation in the PowerPoint, so please write it as well. Topic. Okay. So topic is timely. Okay, topic is timely. It means it's of course timely. It means it should be useful today and tomorrow. No, it should be relevant. The relevant topic should be useful today and for tomorrow. Okay, that's what it means by timely. Topic is well defined. Okay, what do we mean by that? It means the subject matter is narrowed down with a very, very specific theme that we'll explore now the entity of your topic. Okay, so it's just narrowed down with a very specific theme. And topic has a high level of creativity. Oopsie. Creativity. All right. For a while. Okay. What do we mean by that? Topic has a high level of creativity. It means that that topic now or the subject matter is interconnected with other disciplines. Now that makes it very interesting. Again, remember it has to be interconnected with other disciplines. Okay? Please write that as part of the characteristics of an ideal topic. Okay, next we move on to formulate a working thesis. Formulate, this is your main idea. No, this working thesis statement, rather. Thesis statement is the main idea. Let's try to write that down. Okay, this is now your main idea. This is having a focus, no, so that you work now to elaborate the main idea. Okay, this is now, let's say, it's leading to the path of your paper. That's your thesis statement. Okay, let's underline that because these are some important concepts. Next, prepare preliminary questions. These are questions you will be, of course, addressing in your paper. Okay, it's self-explanatory. Find sources. Um, these are now, we would say, these are now support to your answers in the questions you set. No, you try to find answers in those questions, and that's the source. Okay, or also in the main idea you're presented. Okay. Next, take down and organize notes. So as you find sources, you have to note them. And it's not just, writing them in any piece of paper. You have to note them systematically. So you can now, so you won't have to go back and forth in all those materials. Again, it's a side tip for you guys, no, please. For some of you who've been doing that back in the days when you were also asked to make your own research paper, then good. Just remember you have to note them systematically. No, it really helps, no, when you note as you go. Remember, note as you go. Don't just wait until you're finished and then you have to go back to all your sources. No. So note as you go. Next, outline your research paper. After reading a lot of sources, no, ayan na, you can now outline and choose, no, filter what you really need to be part of your paper. Okay. So if you have chosen now what are the things that could be part of your paper, this will now constitute as the skeleton. Diba? The outline now is a skeleton of your paper. Okay. Skeleton. You know how skeleton works? Of course. Okay. Ayan. Next, draft your paper. Of course, you are now beginning to make the paper itself. First draft. Then after making your draft, then you are to revise and edit. Okay, it's self-explanatory. Read again, check. You have to revise, edit, check for grammatical errors, spelling errors, punctuation errors, okay, all these things. And lastly, check documentation. This is now the citation of your sources, okay? It's different from finding the sources, okay? The sources are the answers to your questions and support to your thesis statement. But just if you say documentation, this is now the citation of your sources, okay? To avoid now what? Plagiarism, okay? Because you have to always give credit, no, to the people whose ideas you use in your work is not yours. No, it's not your own work. It's not your own idea. So you have to give credit to them. Of course, you have the right to express your opinions. You have the right to use ideas of people to support your argument and draw conclusions. But it's always, please remember your responsibility to inform now your audience which ideas, no, in your research, in your essay, in your paragraph are not yours and which are your own. Okay, so please don't forget to always cite your sources. Okay, how do you cite your sources? You know that? You remember? No, there are in-text citations and there is the reference at the end. Okay, so in-text citations and then again at the end. Okay, I've already said that. So I'm not gonna be, I think we will not be venturing into that, the APA style or MLA style, but I would just be attaching probably a page on that on your module under this communication for academic purposes, just in case, in the future you would want to, again, you might need this kind of references, then you can always check how to cite properly. Okay. So later, I will check if I have written that on your, or I have included that in your module already. Okay. So with all that said, okay, let me just erase that. Let's cite now an example. Okay, especially for the first three steps. Of course, these are not new to you guys already because you've done research. So just quick example. We have your topic. Let's say the topic is the relevance of wearing school uniforms among college students. Okay. So it's very specific, right? You are now talking about school uniforms, and then you have your group, predefined group. It's limited to college students. And what is that? It's the relevance. What is that about? It's the relevance. So it's very narrowed down. It's very specific. Okay. If you want to make it more specific, relevance of wearing school uniforms among college students of the University of the Cordilleras. Okay. So para mas lalong specific, right? So wala talagang kawala. You really now know the topic and what is this about and where is it happening, something like that. Okay. Thesis statement. What's our thesis statement now, or the main idea? Wearing school uniforms among educational college students promotes unity and loyalty toward one another. Okay, this is our thesis statement. Okay. Now we have placed preliminary questions. For example, what do the design and the color of the school uniform among students reflect? Besides unity and loyalty matters, why is the wearing of school uniform among students relevant? And third is, how does the wearing of school uniforms among students promote unity and loyalty among students themselves? So these are now what you're going to find out in your research. Okay, this is just an example. But I think this is pretty clear, no? Example on how to, really make a good and sound research proposal. So yeah. And speaking of, for those of you who will be having failing grade and who incurred more than the allowable absences, this will be your remedial with me. Okay, you will be now making a research paper. So I hope you are not one of those, because otherwise you will have a very limited time. Okay. So using appropriate tone and style now. Right? Now we have a better understanding of what's required of us in an academic paper. Okay. What's next? Okay. What were those rather? Um, in general, we have to be, as I've said, analytical. We have to be critical. We need to create an informed argument. Huh? What else? We need to consider our relationship to our topic and to our reader. Okay. But what about the matter now of finding an appropriate academic tone and style? Okay. Remember, your professors want the students to write clearly and intelligently on matters that they as students care about. Okay. What we, your professors, what we don't want is just doing the paper for the sake of passing, writing gibberish stuff that no one cares about. Because if you didn't care to write the paper, of course, your professors won't care to read it. Okay. So you have to write something, research something that you care about. Okay. In other words, now, the tone of an academic paper must be inviting to the reader while maintaining relatable to the reader while maintaining an academic style. Okay. So what else? You have to understand, that you are writing to a person who is actually delighted when you make your points clearly, please, concisely, and persuasively. Okay. You also have to understand, that your professors. Now, your professors, we are less delighted when again you have inflated your work with highfalutin words or jargons. Okay. It is not impressive. No, just to, what? Just to pop up your page count, no? Or just to impress. No? So impress by using these words, but you don't even know what the meaning of these words are. So please don't do that. Okay, again. So in short, going back, good academic writing, it follows now the rules of good writing itself. No? So again, it's here. Consider the following tips. No, these are designed to make the process of writing an academic paper go more smoothly. Number one, keep the personal in check. Okay, what is this? What do we mean? Keep the personal in check. Some tasks, okay, some assignments will invite you now to make, a personal response to a text. Okay, write your reaction paper. So sometimes you will be tasked to have a personal response to a text. For example, your professor might want you to describe your experience of a text, or to talk about a personal experience that are relevant to the topic at hand. But if you are not asked to do that, please better not use, your personal response experience to that topic. Okay. Next, rely on evidence over feeling. What is this? Okay. Again, it's somehow related to the first one. But please rely on evidence, not feeling. You might be, let's say, very passionate. You really care about a certain subject. You're very passionate about it. But that's not excuse, to allow, let's say, rhetoric, no? Rhetoric to carry the ball. you should not sound so rhetoric. When we say rhetoric, it's the art of an effective or persuasive speaking or writing. So don't, or you should not sound so persuasive about this certain topic. I remember, I think I actually did that. But then again, and then my thesis advisors were again able to put me back to being critical and analytical about a certain topic. I have always been passionate about sustainability. So I think the two research papers that I actually did back in my university days, they're both about sustainability. One is sustainable mobility plan, and the other one is uh, a sustainable product used for so and so. So it's really about sustainability, and that's me being so passionate. And at one point, I became so rhetoric. Okay, so please, not so much rhetoric, not so much, dramatically pushing what you believe in. Okay, so especially if you're trying to use the figures of speech, don't do that. No, or other compositional techniques, please not. Okay. Next, watch your personal pronouns. No, students now often, think or wonder if it's okay. If it's okay to use the pronouns I and you in a paper. Okay, are you one of those? I and you. You pronounce I and you. Okay. You might be wondering, is it okay to use I or you? Answer is it is okay, provided that you use them with care, with utmost care. In other words, do not overuse, of course. Do not overuse, especially the pronoun I. Okay. So do not overuse the pronoun I because, of course, it might make the reader feel that, the paper is very, very subjective because it's always I believe, I so and so. Okay. Right. So please do not use I so much. No. If you often invoke yourself in the first person, okay, you might be doing so. The reader might think he's doing that. He's always using I, no, because he wants to avoid offering proof, right? You might say in defense, it's my personal opinion and I have a right to it. I don't have to defend it. That's why you keep using I. Okay. But in reality, you have to defend that. Okay. You really do. Okay. Pronoun you, it's just also it's also not ideal to use it more than I, okay? Because it draws now your reader closer to the text, which, you know, it invites a more subjective response, okay? For example, you try to ask something, no? So if you try to use you, it's now like talking directly to the reader, which then they would tend to think subjectively. They would put themselves, and then in that situation, they would think subjectively. Okay. So it's going to be more intensely critical response. Okay. All right. So lastly, watch your gendered pronouns. So aside from watching our personal pronouns, we also have to watch our gendered pronouns. Okay, for a moment. I just need to drink water. Hold on. Sorry for that. I've been talking the whole day. All right. So going back, watching your gendered pronouns. When you write, you'll want to this time make sure that you don't do anything to make your readers feel excluded. We've discussed this before, no? We don't We should not use gendered, um we should be culturally and gender sensitive, right? You remember that topic? So we have to use gender neutral words or nouns, all of this. If you use now he and him all the time, okay, the readers now would feel that you are excluding half of your potential readership, half because you're excluding the women. Okay. So that's one way to look at it. Let's always be sensitive, okay, to the effect of our tone to the readers. Again, we have to also avoid sexist language. That's what we've discussed during midterms. Okay. Lastly, we've been discussing formality, no rules in writing formally for the past weeks now. So I know these are just a quick review to you guys. Formality. Okay. Don't use contractions. I'm sure by now you already know what contraction means, no? Like this. Don't use that apostrophe T. You have to spell it out. Do not use contractions. Don't use colloquial language or slang. Always write as concisely as you can. Generally avoid phrasal verbs. Look into or okay, generally avoid phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are most often than not two words verbs. For example, look into. Instead of using look into, you have to use investigate. Okay? Please remember that. So avoid phrasal verbs. Do not use two phrase verbs. Just use one word verb. Okay? Avoid common but vague words and phrases. So do not say long. State the size. Okay? So because if you say long, how long? It's not that it's very vague. It's not exact. You have to state the exact size. Avoid overuse of brackets. Don't use exclamation marks or dashes. Avoid direct questions and don't use etc. Okay. Don't use etc. etc. What is this etc. Okay. Avoid direct questions because again, just like the first previous slide, don't use personal pronoun you. Okay. Because again, you're putting um, a very subjective response. Okay. Always use capital letters appropriately and never use the type of language used in texting. Okay. Some of these you already know. Any questions so far?
None, ma'am.
Okay. We have to open a new Zoom. Okay. So see you in a bit.